there's a nice big range of geographies. I'm sure most of you have noticed a few of them. There's geomorphology, which is more to do with Earth systems and landscapes. So it's very different from geology. Okay? Geology is more to do with rocks and underground features and structures. It's the bigger. Where the geomorphology is more the landscapes and the physical activities. So how do they affect landscapes? How do they form? What changes in them? So, but it links up with the atmospheres. So when you speak about like a hydrosphere, how does water affect the landscapes? Right? So those are more geomorphology. So don't confuse geology and geography with the two. Okay. So if you want to do something more with landscapes and above the ground, that's geomorphology and falls into geography. And there's climatology, which is what I specialize in, weather, climate, air quality, pollution, environmental risk. There's hydrology, biogeography, and then the more human side of it that will look at economic geography, population, migration, city cultures and city and urban structures and those sort of things. It's quite a nice range, and you can specialize in anyone and you can do different areas. So it depends also what's your other majors. You can do it through a BSc route, which is then you have to do some chemistry, maths and stats, and another major, or you can do a BA geography as well, which you don't have to do then any of the chemistry, maths, science, all of it. Right. Which is also quite nice if you don't want to go into that area.
So how many did you study?
Well, I just finished my last set of studies now, so it's been 10 years. It's a 30-year undergrad, 1 year honors, 2 years masters, and 3 year PhD. So I've just finished now. So it's about 9 to 10 years.
What kind of choose?
I loved it. I've always loved it. I liked geography in school, so probably more like most of you. Enjoyed it. I then started. I didn't have the stock, so I didn't know what I wanted to do really in terms of it just sounded like the right thing. So I did geology and I did geography. To be very honest, and I shouldn't be telling you this before you go to the geologist, I hate the geologist.
Everyone has it.
Yeah. But the thing with geology is you learn a lot. So you can look at rocks now and you know what you're looking at. So I majored in it, but I didn't have that love for it like others, but I did have that love for geography. So I did my major in geology and geography, and I always loved looking at clouds and looking at the weather and that sort of thing. So from my undergrad, I specialized in climatology. My PhD, I did move a bit out of pure climatology and I looked at environmental health. So I enjoy not just pure, as in just let's find the weather and that sort of thing. So what I do is I look at scenarios where there could be health problems. So for instance, there's at refueling stations where you go in to refuel your cars, and there's a compound that's released which is called BTEX. Benzene toluene ethyl benzene enzyme, it's carcinogenic, so they're cancer-carrying agents. They're teratogenic, so it affects unborn fetuses, and they're mutagenic, so they affect your lungs and liver. And I looked at those in terms of how it affects health. So I'm involved in more health studies, so in terms of ozone, BTEX, pars, PCDs, all of those. I look at more air quality and health, more than just pure climate. And that's what drives me. So that's actually why I went into it, because I wanted to help and, do something for the community and that. But I actually wanted to do more poverty alleviation studies, and when I got into that, it didn't really go very far with me. So then I still enjoyed the environment and continued on that.
What do you do on a normal day in the office?
On a normal day? Okay, well, we do lecture, but that doesn't take up most of our time. Most of the time is related more to our research. So it depends where you're doing your research. So I travel a lot because most of my research is overseas. So in a year, I maybe make about 6 to 10 trips overseas. Depending on how long we go for, it could be anywhere from 6 weeks to a month or 2. So, a month to 6 weeks to 2 months. It depends. So we do the research elsewhere. So with the lecturing, it covers up maybe about 10 to 15 hours a week, which is more or less what you would do on a normal week. You prepare your lectures, you have to mark, you teach, all of that goes into it. But we do a lot of research, which is the nice thing. So if you love research, that's the area to be in. And then there's admin work also, which is always part of any job. And then sort of things like this, where we go, we do school talks, we do other university talks, conferences, seminars, and that sort of thing. Yeah. So we do attend a lot of seminars and conferences, both for government and for our own academic. So
Raeesa, can I ask you, do you have any, what is the level of commitment from government, for example,
from
tenders or contracts?
From government, yeah, it depends if they need research to be conducted. So we just completed a project now with JCP, Johannesburg City Parks and Zoo, where they planted 200,000 trees in Soweto for the greening project, and they wanted to see what the carbon sequestration amounts are. So what it means is that the trees absorb carbon, and we can then get carbon credits for it, and we actually get money from the UN for that if we turn in a positive carbon credit. So they actually wanted us to look at how much carbon these trees are sequestering, absorbing in terms of a number, numerical value, and how much cost there is involved in that, their cost, and if we turn in a profit in it. So those sort of things come more in the research side. We don't really apply for tenders. You can if you want to in a personal capacity.
Okay.
That's separate. But usually what we try and structure with government is if there's an area for research that they need done either in water, air, or normal surroundings, so like urban or cities, then we normally try and structure it to give bursaries to students. So either for the honors or the masters, so that it helps them work a small stipend. So usually we get bursary for about between 40 and 50,000 per student per year. So that works much nicer because the students also then get exposed to that research. So government actually help quite a bit in that sense, but they also need our help, and we come in a lot cheaper than any company.
I'm sure. Yeah.
We actually pull in that cycle, so it's quite nice.
Okay. Alright.
Have you done any recent projects on helping environment?
Recent projects. Okay, the one I'm currently busy on, we're looking at ozone, and we're trying to build a global network suite. So scientists from around the world, we're getting ozone data, and what we're trying to do is look at whether there's an increase. Well, we know there's an increase in ozone, but how the increase is affecting us, and whether it's contributing to higher rates of air quality in rural areas. So is there a migration of this ozone and being dispersed into rural areas, and then using this global matrix to look at the health of the planet almost. So that's one of the big projects, but that's a NASA-run project. So that's quite nice and big. There's another one that we're doing on Friday for in Cairo. We're working with the space agency there also with ozone, but that's surface ozone. So there's two different types of tropospheric ozone is what affects our belt, our ozone belt, and then the surface ozone that affects human health. And so the one we're looking at in Egypt at the moment for the space agency is looking at whether we can link air quality data with satellite imagery, MICE and MODIS, and see whether we can have a real-time scenario of ozone for whenever we need. So that's quite interesting. Other projects I'm busy on, like I said, looking at the health and safety of occupational workers. We look at in taxi ranks, in bus service stations. We're looking at it in landfill areas, so residents around the landfill, because they're exposed to a lot of harmful pollutants from waste. So we're looking at a project on that. And those are the other main projects as well. Yeah.
With your study on the petrol,
Stations.
like the workers in the station, will it ultimately affect them? Because I mean,
Yes,
they have more
actually,
life.
the main part of this focus was on the occupational health more than environmental health. And what we did notice is that there's small changes that we made that would make a big difference. So part of the study was with Metrobus that's just around the corner from Wits. And what they used to do is they used to refuel the buses while the engine was idling. So you're getting exhaust fumes as well as petrol fumes. And just a small change of switching off a bus and not having a running actually brought down emissions a lot. So what we also do is we don't just do the research and then we usually try and do mitigation studies as well. So like we advise them, okay, do this or do that. One of the main reasons is to leave their buses idling is because it's cheaper to leave the bus idling than switch it on after refueling because it costs them more money. But in terms of health for the safety help of the workers, it's better to switch off. So they now switched off their buses when they're refueling. They wear gloves, they wear masks when they spray painting. They have ventilation systems which they never had before. So we actually noticed a decrease of about 30% in emissions just with the small changes. So it's really nice the things you can do with geography, because you can actually do things that mean something. So like another project we're doing is, have you ever seen tire gardens? Yeah?
What
They-
gardens?
Tire gardens. They use the tires, old tires for your car, and they plant like potatoes or herbs or whatever in. And the thing with tire gardens is it's very easy to put anywhere, and like usually your animals don't get into. The problem with tires is it releases heavy metals and trace elements, and we've been noticing an increase in zinc in these tire gardens. So we're looking at that to see if there's a way to combat these heavy metal release into the soils, and which soil types have the highest increases in elemental elements, and then looking at it in terms of communities and telling them, okay, use this type of soil within your tire garden so it's healthier for you. So it's nice to link a bit of environmental with the human side. You actually feel like you're doing something. You know, it's not just to research for the sake of research almost. Which is quite nice with geography. You can do that. You can link your major also with a lot of other courses. So besides just geology, you can do, there's courses in apes, very funny school name. We are gays, so they're apes. So yeah. But apes are animal, plant, and environmental sciences. So you can do environmental studies, you can do botany, zoology, all of those. Or if you're doing through a BA route, you look at then sociology, anthropology. You can even, I think you can still, I'm not too sure if you can still combine law, you can do environmental law. You can do sociology, all of those also fit in quite nicely with migration studies and everything. And if you want to go more into the political side in terms of government, you can even do international relations, IR, or political science adverts. So they actually quite a few different combinations within the UAE. So there's courses like environmental governance, political science, and all of those that link into geography very nice. And economic geography, all those courses you do at undergrad, and then you specialize in honors. Okay. In terms of jobs though, you do need minimum in honors. So you do need to do a 3-year undergrad and then a 1-year honors. You can go into consultancies and into government with honors, and you're working quite comfortably with that. So you do quite well. There's a lot of traveling consultancies, but you learn a lot. If you want to stay in academic, like I did, then you do the full shipping of papers.
Perfect. Good.
One more. So in your normal day, how much time do you spend on the computer?
A lot.
All day.
Well, I do a
Researching.
bit of modeling and computer programming. So I use what's called MATLAB. It's a stats maths program, and I model my own data emissions in it. So I do a bit more computer-based. My instruments are all linked to the internet so that I can remotely access data from around the country and from all the other countries that we're working. So it's a lot of computer-based things, but we do have to go out very often for maintenance and that sort of thing. It depends also in which field you go in geography. Some have to go out, and if you're doing something like an urban study, you have to actually go out physically, get the data, then come back and model it. So a lot of things are moving to technology using the computer systems or using GIS also, but you do need to get the data in order to use the computer. So most of your time, generally I would say, is spent in front of the computer, especially because you have to then analyze the data using the computer. You have to process it, all of it, statistically analyzing everything.
Okay, perfect.
Different sizes.
Okay, well, Raeesa, thank you very much for your time.